Hey guys, I'm working on the necessary clutch wallet this afternoon. And since some of you had told me that you were interested in seeing how I make it, I figured I would come on while I'm doing it. And I'm going to put the link in the let's not have this echo though. Let me fix that for us right now. For interest. There we go. I'm going to put the link up for where you can buy this pattern. I have obviously already printed mine, put it together. Hey, Sandra. Hey, Judy. Hi, Lisa. How are you? This is the pattern that I'm working on today. And like I said, I showed my wallet that I made a few days ago in a live, and several people were like, oh, show us how you made that. So I'm working on making another today with the goal towards doing a video, obviously, that I can put up by itself. So I thought, well, let me go live and let you guys see how I put this all together, if you're interested. This is an insomnia sewing, thank goodness. I did get some sleep finally last night. And all I've done so far is I reprinted my pattern today. I taped everything together with Scotch tape. And then I cut out, I'm doing the exterior right now. But I put everything together with Scotch tape. And now I'm working on getting it all thunked together. I reprinted my pattern today. I don't need to taped everything together. Hear myself talk. You guys might want to, but I don't need to. As you can see, I'm tracing it onto the back of the pattern. So what I'm going to use today is I'm using faux leather, which is basically vinyl. And let me show you the piece that I cut. Here is the vinyl. It's marine vinyl that I purchased off of Amazon. That's a turquoisey blue. Hopefully the color comes through for you guys. Hey, Lori, how are you today? So I'm using a turquoise vinyl. And then I have some scraps of this that I've used for some other things. So I've gone ahead and put some SF101 interfacing on the back. And then for the flap, the first thing I need to do is sew this together, and my Juki will do it with ease. And I am going to clip it all together. Can you tell that I like blue? Just a little bit. I'm going to clip it together, and I'm only sewing around the outer edges. I'm not going to sew across this top where the pieces join. Let's see if I can get it where you guys can see what I'm doing. Hey, Vicki, how are you? Now, this is a paid pattern. It's not a free one, so I can't give you all of her measurements and stuff. But what I have done is I've marked where my snap is supposed to go on the inside of the flap, and I'm going to sew around these with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So that's the next step on my little agenda. And I know it's a wreck over here by my little desk. I'm going to use a slightly longer seam than I've been using. I'm going to use a 3. And I'm just going to sew slowly and carefully, following the line of my pattern so that I get that curve in there. And I've made a few of these, so if you have questions about something I'm doing, feel free to ask, because I've made so many that I just kind of start throwing things together. Hey, Kathy. Tried to message you and couldn't get through. All right, so now that I've got that all sewn together on both sides, I'm going to trim my seam allowance. And I'm going to trim it not super close, but I'm going to trim it enough so that when I turn it, my curves will still show. And so I'm trimming maybe 1/8 of an inch away. See it? What I don't want is that when I turn this out, that the seams split. I don't want to have that happen. So that's all trimmed up. Look who's there. Everybody's out. All right, so now I've got it all sewed and all trimmed. And now I'm going to very carefully flip this out. And I'm hoping that I trimmed that seam allowance enough so that when I turn it, all my curves come through easily. And I'm not pulling super hard when I'm turning. I'm just flipping it inside out. And then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to get right up into that little curve. I don't want the seam to split, so I want it to lay down. And how I want this to come out is I want the little bit of the inside to be tucked just behind the edge of the vinyl that I've got on the outside. Check you guys out. There's a bunch of y'all out there today. That's awesome. And then once I've got it all done, I'm just going to lay it down. And this is me. I take my fingers and I'm pressing so that the seam kind of rolls towards the back. That also lets me know that everything is laying down flat. And I'm also double checking that none of my stitching is showing along that edge. And again, because it's vinyl, I can't just slap my iron on top of it and do it. So now that's all laid down. I made a mark on the inside of the front flap for where the magnet is supposed to go. And I'm going to put my pen right through that little mark so that I can see it right there. And then I have my magnet. I'm going to put magnet and its holder on one side. And I like to put the male part on the flap. That just seems to work better for me. I'm using vinyl. How amount inside? I thought about making it completely with fabric, but mine that I made for me is vinyl on the outside. And so I went ahead and did vinyl today. Okay, so my pen is still in there. I'm going to lay the holder or the bracket for the magnet on the inside of this. I want to use an air erasable pen. There's the center where it's supposed to go. And then right here is where I need to slit this so that when that bracket goes on from the inside, it stays. And what I use to slit it, if I can find there it is, my toolbox, is I use an X-Acto knife. This thing is very, 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 very sharp. Oh, Teresa, I'm sorry. I remember you said you had a couple of people. Kathy is the only wrench today. Check her out. She's not power hungry. All right. And so now I'm going to take my bracket and I'm going to, no, I'm not. I'm going to take my outside piece and I'm going to put it right through there. Maybe you can see that it came through the slits inside. And then I'm going to put the bracket on top of it. And I'm going to open the little legs and press them down and out. Seems to stay where it's supposed to if you press them out better than it does if you press them in. And then what I always put over mine, you guys can't see it, but I have my Decaville light over here behind me. And this is just a stabilizer. I'm going to put a little piece inside here, right over the top edge of that. Again, trying to make it so you guys can see what I'm doing. And I don't want to touch my vinyl whenever I do this. I'm going to iron it in. So I'm going to take a piece of my SF-101 and put that over the Decaville to make sure everything stays where it needs to be. So I've got the Decaville in there over top of the bracket, and then I'm putting SF-101 on top of that to make sure that everything stays where it's supposed to stay. And then vinyl is just plastic, so vinyl will melt easily. So do not touch the hot part of your iron to your vinyl, or you will regret it. And once I get it somewhat down there inside, I'm just going to lay it out flat again. And I've got the other part of my magnet and my bracket that I'm going to set right up here on my magnetic pin cushion. I'm going to roll that back down so that everything's where it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to very carefully take my iron and only on the fabric side of my flap, I'm going to apply a little more heat to make sure that that Decaville and that SF-101 stay where they're supposed to. Can't put much on there because it'll melt. It'll still melt the vinyl even through there. So now that we've got that part done, we can put this to the side for a little bit. Oh, yeah, there's no way to enjoy a funeral. I agree 100%. But it does give a little bit of closure, hopefully. to the loved ones when they go to it. My little X-Acto knife back inside of there. Okay, so the next piece of this pattern is this here, and this is the main outside pattern piece for the necessary clutch wallet. I'm trying to follow chat too. Oh, okay, Teresa. I'll definitely keep an eye out for that because I'm definitely planning to be at your live. This is, like I said, a scrap of fabric that I had. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I have a big enough piece to do this. I like to try to still keep it on the grain line, even if it's using scraps. I'm going to interface this before I go any further. And I should have enough of the leftover here to be able to make the card pocket and or the zipper pockets for the inside. Yes, I'm just kind of hacking it off. I'm not cutting it out to the shape of it yet. The reason for that is I want to put interfacing on the inside. You can tell I don't throw away scraps for anything, huh? SF 101 again. And I buy this stuff by the bolt because when I'm making bags, I use lots of it. Aw, I'm glad you had a good time yesterday, Courtney. I really enjoyed it. I always like getting to meet new people. Now, SF 101 is a fabric stabilizer, which most of you know. This side is flat and this side is bumpy. The bumpy side has the glue on it. I'm going to bring my brain somewhere with me. You guys all laugh at how disorganized I am, right?
How's that sound?
So I'm going to iron out my fabric flat. There's a little ink in it, but it's not going to make a difference. And the reason it's not going to make a difference is because this is the inside of the wallet itself. And once you have everything put together, this piece is really not going to be seen. But I still like to take care of it so that it doesn't cause wrinkles or issues anywhere down the line. I'm just ironing it. Or pressing it, I should say. I'm not really ironing. And then I'm going to put my SF 101 on here. And I'm going to learn from Becca's mistake that I am not going to attach my SF 101 to my wool pressing mat. I hope she's enjoying her weekend off with her mom. That's great. Bye, Teresa. You have a great day. I had fun last night. I did finally go to sleep, but it took some mega effort to get there. And it did take more pain medicine. So I was upset that it took me that long. Days like that, when I wake up the next day, I always feel like, ugh. I'm just hacking my SF 101 up so I can put it wherever I like. Now, did anybody go watch Goods? I think her name is Beth. Interview with the guy who sews yesterday. I watched it this morning after I watched his weekend update. I always kind of think of Saturday Night Live with their weekend updates. It was a pretty good interview. That's an awesome interviewer. She asked all the questions I would like answers to. Okay. So that's the SF-101 attached. Oh, maybe not. That little edge isn't completely there. I'm trying to figure all that out too, Courtney. Tech support's working on it, trying to figure it out for us. And I will share any information I get with all of you. Her name is Elizabeth. Okay. That is my favorite name. It was probably her mom's favorite name too. And probably for the same reason. Because I loved Kiss when I was a kid. I'm dating myself, right, with how old I am. Oh, I kept looking for that live too, Courtney. I was hoping that it was going to show up because I was awake until the wee hours of the morning. And I thought, well, even if I had missed seeing the live, that I would get to see the replay. I'm drawing around this now. Just because it's easier than trying to cut around a big rounded pattern like this for me. And I probably should have put it down onto the cutting mat, but it was still hot. And if you're sharp-eyed and the camera's doing a good job, you can see that I cut a little bit outside of the actual pattern piece. That's because I want room to be able to trim the rounded edges if I need to when I get ready to turn this piece right side out. So now that's all traced onto there, if you can see it. Creative Grid Triangle Ruler. And now you get to see my favorite thing. I buy vinyl on a roll. This is maroon vinyl or marine vinyl. And again, color's not showing well. Trying to get it where you can see that it's turquoise and not dark blue. Although it's looking dark blue on my camera. What I'm going to do, because this roll is so big, is I'm going to lay it up here. I'm going to lay down my piece of my pattern. And I'm trying to be a little chintzy because this stuff is, I think it was $15 a yard when I bought this. But I am going to just cut myself off a piece of the blue vinyl. And this and the flap are all that's actually vinyl on this. As you can tell, this one's almost gone. I have black, I have gray, I have white, and I have some brown. But I don't like the brown. It's a poopy color. I don't know what else to call it. It was advertised as chocolate brown, but it's not shiny. It's more matte, which gives it a not happy appearance. And again, I'm going to trace right around this edge where the pattern is. everybody that I watched make this was like, oh, do this, do that, worry about this, worry about that. I'm way more laid back about some parts of it. Other parts I'm not. And you may notice that I did not top stitch my flap yet. That's because I want to top stitch it with a blue thread, but I like to sew vinyl with a slightly heavier thread because it, to me, seems to hold better. Now that I've traced that, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to put these two pieces together. Making sure that everything kind of lines up so that I don't have any gaps anywhere. And I'm going to sew around one of them. But before I sew it, I'm going to take the interior lining piece and I'm going to match the edges. And match the edges. I'm matching the pattern, not the fabric. And I'm going to mark right here that that's the center. And then I have a crease right down there. Pick up. And then I'm going to put a little notch at the center, and I'm going to go out about 3 inches each direction from the center. This is how we're going to turn this wallet, so we don't end up having to close something. And then center of top edge. Where did you go, my little flappy baby? You've never sewn vinyl, Lisa? Vinyl's actually pretty easy. It's a little heavier than fabric, and you probably need a jeans needle. But I don't find it to be much harder than fabric. Sorry, brain's working overtime, folks. Making sure I put my flap in the right direction. It's been more than a minute since I've made one. Yep, okay. Making sure I put it in the right place. I'm looking. I do believe that, was it Lori who did the tulip pink dresses? Was that you, Lori? looking for my longer clips in here because I use hair clips to attach that. And then I'm just going to go through with my regular clips and attach everything. Hi, Kim, my quilty people. I'm going to do this different than I normally do because I don't think I cut my final piece quite as big as I thought I did. Trying not to cut my fingers off. Either way, I don't want to cut that piece of the flap over, or the loose. Well, hello. Everybody's just flying out the door. All right. There we go. I'm using that piece of the flap to tell me where I'm supposed to put my edge. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking the clips and I'm attaching my flap, making sure it's level. Oh, awesome, Courtney. Do you know what it was? What caused the issue? It was probably something simple in your settings. I think that's what it turned out to be for Vicky when we were trying to get hers working. Okay. Now that I've got everything clipped together, cut, etc., I'm going to take this over here and I'm going to start sewing just before my flap so that I make sure I get my flap in here. Once again, I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance and I'm going to back up. And I am not leaving an opening in this side seam. That's why I cut the center, was so that I could turn this out without having to go back and close up an opening. This is even easier if you use fabric than it is if you use the vinyl. But I'm just using my jeans needle and my Juki machine to sew this. The pattern calls for you to put Decaville on the back of the vinyl. I don't do that, and I've never found it to be a problem. I just sewed a couple of seams over. I thought Teresa Louise left. Oh yeah, I use my other camera as well. My computer camera doesn't seem to do too well on Zoom, just like yours. And then just like I did on the flap, I'm just cutting very close to the seam, about 1/8 of an inch away. And I would not use a rotary cutter for this. This requires scissors. I like my Fiskars because they open themselves back up, so they don't require lots and lots of effort from my hand. Since my rotary cutter was making my hand hurt last night, in the middle of the night, I thought maybe I should do something that didn't require the rotary cutter today. Double checking to make sure that my flap is caught in there. That's all the scraps I have left from that. Now, before I turn it, I'm going to go up in here and make sure that everything is caught where I want it to be, that it's all even, because if I've got to rip out a seam, I want to do it now rather than later. But that's good. That's very good. All right. Yeah, Kim, she had to go to funeral, I guess. She called it a celebration of life, but that's what I would assume it is. Although I do know a lot of them are being delayed here lately. Hey, Brandy, how are you today? All right, now I'm going to turn this out, and I am not starting at the flap. And you do not want to pull on the flap. You want to push the flap out, not pull it. I know that seems like a dingbat distinction, but you don't want to rip that seam. You don't want to rip any of these seams, obviously. I've seen this called birthing a bag. It is kind of what it seems like, right? To me, it looks more like hatching eggs. Hey, Marie. Gladys, that's not good. Okay. And then all I'm doing now is I'm just taking my fingers and I'm pushing out along that seam line. I'm pushing it so that it rolls the fabric in. I never claimed to be an expert bag maker. I'm just kind of on this edge here where it kind of wants the vinyl to be out. I'm just pushing it so that the fabric is tucked back in behind the vinyl. And I'm going to keep doing that all the way around. Again, this blue fabric isn't going to be seen because I do see that the little stain is through the fabric. It's not going to be seen when we're all done. This blue fabric is going to be hidden. Put my hand back in there. Push this down or out. Again, trying to get the fabric to go towards the inside so that when I do top stitch this, it's going to put all that fabric on the inside and it won't show from the outside. I hate editing too, Brandy. One of the reasons I'm doing the live is so that I have more footage for the video when I get ready to make it, because I know I'm going to make another one of these. And the NCW video is probably going to go up as a live premiere. So I'll be able to answer questions while the video is playing. At least I think that's how that works. Because right now I just feel like, okay, I'm making a bag on camera and I'm not answering any questions, although I haven't seen any. But I don't want you guys to feel like you can't ask questions. You know what I mean? So where we're at right now, you see this little gaping hole in here? I can handle it one of two ways. I can put some of this SF-101 over it and make it lay down, but I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is, by the time I make my credit card slots and my zipper pockets for this, it's going to, it'll cover it up and it will be sealed. There won't be any way for anything to get down inside your bag. And then right now, this is what we've got. This is the bare basics. But so far, we've got a wallet. And see why I want to make sure all of that rolls in. I don't want the blue fabric to show. I do like it the way it is. And it's going the right direction. Now I need to make the inside. I need to decide whether I'm going to do a double zipper pocket or a single zipper pocket. It is hard to answer questions on a live, isn't it? And I just feel like I'm not paying attention to the people who are here for the live. It makes it harder. That's why it's nice to do a live with two people. But, you know, sometimes that's good and sometimes it's not. It kind of depends, because it means one of the people isn't getting to work on anything and may or may not feel like they're getting their questions answered either. All right, so that part's done. Now, just so that you know, there are two other parts to the exterior of this that you can make, okay? I'm hoping this is showing for you. These are for accent strips. Like, for instance, if I really wanted to put a different color of vinyl along this outside edge, I could do that. And it would just accent it. I thought about doing some embroidery on this one, maybe a monogram, but I think when both of the NCWs are all done and I put the live video up, I may raffle these off if, you know, anyone's interested in having them. So I may do a raffle on when we put it up as a live premiere, because I don't need 3 wallets. I've got one in my purse that I really like. That's how come people were asking for this video, because I showed my wallet the other day. And I was like, The other thing I didn't do here that the pattern calls for already is it gives you a placement mark to put the rest of your magnetic snap in. I didn't do that. The reason I didn't do that is because when I get done with this wallet and I fold it up, I want to be able to decide at that point where that magnetic snap should go. So right now, this is the exterior done of the bag. And the next thing that I need to work on is I need to work on the interior. And one of those pieces of elastic. I'm just going to take it and wrap it around here, not tight. I don't want a mark in it. but I do want this out of my way and I don't want it unfolded. So I'm just going to tie the elastic up here and I'm going to set this aside. Come on. Told you knots are not my thing, folks. I'm going to set this aside and now I'm going to start working on the interior panels for this. And they're a whole lot of fun. So the first thing we need to do is the card slot. And I need 8 inches by 15.5 inches. So, or do I have enough fabric there to make a card slot? I don't, but should I go with the batik for the card slots? What do you think? Anybody? Hi, Marie. So it's a blue batik with the teal and the bluish gray. You think so, Marie? Okay. I swear. I keep trying to tie a knot and it keeps untying on me. Okay, so I need 8 inches by 15 inches. I love blues too, Sandra, or Marie and Sandra. Don't make it too pretty. I might decide to keep it. Actually, I really like the one I have. And obviously, I don't wash any of this before I start sewing with it. I just do it. So I'm going to fold that out flat. Get myself, the measurement in the pattern is 8. I'm going to do 8.5 just to give myself a little room. So if I get a cut crooked or something, I have it. Yes, I still count it even though I'm measuring it on my thing. That gets put away over yonder. Where'd you guys all go? My computer dropped everything here. Hey, Wendy. I was working on pineapple box earlier too, Courtney. I get it. So I need 8 and then I need 15. So first I want to cut off that. That fabric doesn't have any listing on the selvage for what it is, or I would tell you. Oh, because I gave myself a little extra room? Yeah. And then I'm going to fold it there. I don't have lots of room between my computer and my, or my sewing machine and my computer. So I'm folding it in half to give myself the 15-inch piece that I need. It's over there. Okay, so I should have slightly larger than 8.5 by 15 for both pieces. I think it's pretty. I think the color is pretty. I think by the time I fold it up and top stitch everything. Oh, awesome, Marie. Still working on your cross stitch. Oh, I can't wait to see what that shooting stars quilt comes out to look like, Brandy. That's going to be really pretty. We're back over here to my SF 101. Once again, I need 8 by 15. I just hacked this stuff apart. I have a basket in the other room that I use for scraps of all kinds of different stabilizers and glues, this kind of stuff. So anything that doesn't actually fit on what I'm working with is going to go in that basket. And when I'm not on YouTube Live trying to do things, I actually go in that basket and piece it together. But since I don't want to spend half my life trying to piece stuff together today, we may still, I mean, I am that person. And I'm doing a hair shy of the 8.5 measurement for this, because by the time you put it on the back of the fabric and then fold it, then top stitch it, it's all going to be pretty much thick. So, and I have my other little piece I had left over from before. Yeah, my shoulder is what's killing me today, Kim. Yesterday, well, last night it was my hands that wouldn't let me sleep. Not to happy about all that. Oh, and here I am just showing you all my cutting table. Sorry. Might want to see my face. Might not. You never can tell. I'm not hiding from you if I can help it. Although it looks like it, don't it? All right, back down to where I'm ironing at. So I'm going to iron my fabric out nice and flat. Having your fabric warm also helps the SF 101 start sticking when you get ready to do it. And then I'm going to put the piece that I cut pretty much to fit is going to go on here. The word iron is a misnomer when you're using fusible adhesives, as you guys all know. And it's really more of a pressing thing. So this is, you set it down on here, let it sit for a few seconds, you slide it over. I actually kind of picked it up and moved it. I didn't just slide it. Yeah, mine's my shoulder because of the same issue, Kim. Wendy, when you make random blocks, you make things that are really pretty. I still think you should have a channel. And then I'm going to go over here and just set it down because that's not already fused. And I'm just kind of checking that little edge needs some more. I need to just buy stock and lint rollers. Am I the only one who's always covered in thread? Somebody yesterday was talking about their boyfriend came to their house to visit and then went back home. And then when their boyfriend was doing their laundry at home, the boyfriend found thread on his clothes. Is that one of you? I would say it's Courtney, but I don't think Courtney has a boyfriend. She got her a man. She's married, right? Yeah, he got a heat press. I didn't pay lots of attention to the details, Lisa, but I have a heat press also. I have never turned it on, which is bad. I should have at some point or another. Anybody see? There's where I laid my scissors. And I wasn't kidding when I said I play with my little bits and pieces of fabric that are left over. I try to use all of it if I can. Especially when it comes to these oh so expensive adhesives. I got a SF-101 a few years back. Joann's had a sale. I think it worked out to something like 44 cents a yard for SF-101. And I think we bought 5 bolts. I'm down to 2. That was definitely before the pandemic, because we went to 3 or 4 different Joann stores to get the SF-101. The only thing I would say about heat presses, 17 by 24, I think, Kathy. The only thing about heat presses is you have to burn them off before the first time you use them. So you need to turn it on, turn it as high as it'll go, and let it run for about an hour, and it stinks a little bit. It's kind of like using wool mats. It has a smell. And they need to be on something really sturdy, because if that baby falls while it's hot, you're not picking it up. Ask me how I know. But they are great for pressing things like what I'm doing right now, or doing t-shirt quilts. You use lint rollers on the floor. That's a good idea. I have carpet both places that I have my sewing areas. Not my choice, but it's there. I'm not tearing it up to put new floor in just because, I would rather have wood or laminate or something. Too cheap for that. So that turns out really pretty. And it's a little stiffer with the SF-101 on the back. And I'm going to do one more quick press, just because I don't want this coming off in any way, shape, or form. And then I've got to measure out where all of the folds and lines go. And I am actually ironing this time instead of pressing. Just trying to make sure that all of that is attached really, really well. Ow, Patty, that hurts. Was your iron hot when you dropped it? Burning aroma. Oh. Lisa, I hope your husband isn't really like that. Now I gotta let this cool for a little bit, or I won't be able to write on it, especially since my friction pins are supposed to go away. when they get hot. Okay, more SF 101 over there. I'm trying to get all the scraps, especially the ones that get ironed, moved off to the side so I don't end up messing something up. So while I'm waiting on this to cool, what are you guys all working on today? I saw that Courtney's working on pineapple blocks. Kathy's working on Farm Girl Vintage. You have carpet too, Kathy? How does that work with your wheelchair? I would think that would give you a hard time. I'm writing on the SF 101, not on the fabric. And all I'm doing is drawing an arrow to the end that I want to be the top. In this case, it's going to be the left. And I'm just writing it very, very lightly. I don't know if you can even see where I wrote it, but I just drew a little arrow. And I did it very lightly so that it won't come through. It's a piece of cake running the wheelchair around on the carpet. Really? Okay. I figured it would be a pain. Or are you being sarcastic with me, Kathy? You're probably being sarcastic. Oh, they made me to ask a dumb question. That little edge wasn't down all the way. You have a scar that looks like an iron on the top of your thigh. Oh, you actually did drop an iron on your thigh. Oh, ouchie, ouchie. Still working on cutting up those scraps, huh, Lisa? That's not cool. Okay. So I start from the left edge, and it's telling me to mark lines at 2.5. And then another 1 3/4. So that's 1. There would be 3/4. If I'm doing it wrong, tell me. And then I need 1, 2, and 1/4. Then another 1 3/4. And then 2 1/4. 1, 2 1/4. And then 1 3/4. Oh, so you haven't started using your scraps on anything yet, huh? All right. And if you saw what I did there, I drew the lines on both sides of my ruler as I went. And now I'm going to cheat. Going to line up the top end here. Make sure that everything's straight. And then I'm going to make my lines here match. To come over further so that there's room for my ruler. And I'm going to draw my straight lines all the way across both pieces. You can only do this if you know both of your pieces are completely matched up. So if you're not 100% sure, draw them separately. And I'm not only checking down here to make sure that the marks match, I'm also running another line on my ruler along the line I just drew. And then very lightly, I'm drawing that second line. This doesn't have to be super dark. It just needs to be dark enough for you to be able to see it when you start folding and stitching. So same thing, all the way down. And I made a mistake. I'm just going to draw a little hatchet line through that for myself so that I know not to use that line. And then I'm going to redo this. See what I did? I made a boo-boo. I'm good at boo-boos, by the way, in case you guys haven't noticed. But at least I have ways to fix them usually. You've made a boo-boo or two, or you've made one of these wallets, Wendy. Yeah, this is like the absolute most popular wallet pattern, bar none, and has been for years and years and years. I was actually surprised when anybody said they wanted to see me make this because so many people who are so much better than me have done it. But I figure maybe there's something on here that's learnable that I do that might help somebody else. I'm double checking that. Yep, that's right. Okay. Kim, you have a great day. I hope you feel better soon. Yeah, it's the Necessary Clutch wallet, Wendy. I put the link in the very top of the chat. But if you want to go back and look, you can see it's obviously a purchased pattern. Yeah. I think it's $9. I actually bought my first one in 2014 because when I went searching for it in my email, I've downloaded and used like 3 different updates for it. So, yeah, I've been making this one for a while. Yeah. I'm double checking my measurements as I draw this one on all the way across to make sure that it stays straight. And the only reason I'm drawing it in is because it makes it easier if the mark goes all the way across. And again, I made a mark at the top to remind myself of where the top of this is. I think most wallets are pretty much the same wallet over and over. The only thing really different about this one from most of them I've made is that it has you turn, well, the pattern doesn't even tell you to do that. But it has you make that big rounded oval shaped piece. Let me find my pattern. And then of course, over the years in their 16,000 member Facebook group, people have hacked the heck out of this pattern. And the one that always stuck for me was that you draw that line and flip it through the center rather than having to close the edge, which is how most patterns have you do things. You close that edge. But yeah, a wallet is a wallet is a wallet, just like a purse is a purse. The only thing that makes them different is the fabrics you choose and whether you choose to put 1 pocket or 30 in a purse, right? Okay, and then I always have to think about this. So I'm going to start folding this, and don't hold me to the folding directions because I always have to fold it and then come back to it. So you fold the top one this way, then you fold the next one this way, and this SF-101 doesn't seem to want to hold at all. And you just do this all the way down, folding different directions on each line, 1 up, 1 down. That doesn't get a fold there. Okay. Next line. There. You can fold with your ruler in that spot. Okay. And I'm not using a iron on mine yet for a reason. And that reason is that I always fold this wrong the first time. That's why. Okay, so up, down, because I always miss at least one. But that is me. I get it right eventually. This is my bugaboo. I have issues with little things like that. And then I'm going to make it straight. So you should have, when you're all done, 3 evenly spaced pockets with mostly even edges. Can you see that? That the pockets are evenly spaced and the edges are even. I have a little bit of interfacing sticking out over here, but the fabrics are even. Okay. And now I'm going to take my iron. I'm going to set it on top of this. And all this is doing is just making the folds stay. Hey, Kelly. Yeah, you can't be late to a live. Lives are meant for people to drop in and out as they feel like it. Then all I'm doing, I'm pressing back and forth, but just because I want those creases to stay in really well. And I was always, every time that I used to watch people make card slots before I started making this particular pattern, I was always like, oh, but it isn't that hard. I mean, seriously, you watched me do it the dork way, and mine are pretty much laid out the way I want them. A little bit off on that one. But if you want to test it, and your cod, and I don't have any over here that are, I don't even know where my purse is right now. But I usually keep like an old gift card here just to slide it down in and make sure it's deep enough. I know those are actually. So I'm going to fold the next one. You can't do that. You suck at folding. That's, it's legit, Kelly. I definitely suck at folding. Again, I've got my little mark here at the top that tells me this is the top. First one gets folded that way. And you can do it, Kelly. You just haven't found your method yet. That one gets folded this way. This line gets folded that way. That line gets folded the other way. They just go back. It's an accordion. That's all it is an accordion. And if this looks easy, it's a lie. It's not, but it's not hard either. I mean, it's basically, it's your wallet. You have it look however you want it to look. And then there's one left that I need to turn right there. Flip it over. I have my 3 pockets in there. They're pretty much even. I can tweak a little bit. That fabric's really pretty though, because it makes a cute design whenever you fold that. And you just take your iron and lay across it. And Kelly, all I did was I marked across those at the measurements that the pattern says to mark it and put them together. And then I'm just pressing down on my iron to let it hold right there. I mean, the video I saw, the last video I saw was, took an hour and 20 minutes to explain how to make this. And that was moving very quickly. And I thought, I'm going to sit here and make it. All right, so now we have those. And I have ironed the daylights out of them. And this fabric was not starched or anything before I started. I probably should have. And Kelly, I'm always going to vote for you. Always give you a vote of confidence. I think anybody can do what they put their mind to. They may just have to find a way to make it work for them. I shared on a live yesterday. I could not tie my shoes until I was 13 because I have a motor skill deficiency. But I did find a way to tie my shoes so nobody knew I couldn't tie my shoes. I made rabbit ears, and it took me forever to learn how to crochet. I tried to learn quite a few times when I was in my teens and my 20s. I finally got it about 3 years ago from watching multitudes of YouTubers who teach how to learn to crochet. I finally found somebody who taught it in a way that my brain could comprehend. So I, can't isn't the thing. It's you haven't found your way to do it yet. There may be things you actually can't do, but usually there's a workaround. While I sit here and try to tie a knot and have problems with it. Did you guys see that? All the problems I had with that? I can't remember the threading order on my machine at the top. I always have to look it up, so I just tie and pull through. Well, you don't have to use wool. You could do it on a regular one. Lori Miller, are you still there? Are you still here? Courtney's got a question for you, honey. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to top stitch the edges of my pockets here. And all I'm going to do is I've folded that back piece out of the way. I'm going to run right along the top edge of this. Just a little stitch. And I'm using the edge of my presser foot as my guide. But what I'm doing is I'm doing like half of that presser foot wide to put that stitch on there. That's the one I need to figure out, is how to get a camera where you can see what I'm doing. So I'm trying to be very descriptive since you can't see it. I'm off camera on what? So doing the little top stitch, sorry. I'll show it to you in 1 second, folks. Yeah, Kim's not feeling well. She's also still recovering from the bug that her family's had, which isn't good. Okay, so let's see if we can get this up close enough where you can see the top stitching. I just top stitched along the edge of each pocket. Making sure everything's still lined up the way I want it. And not letting that. Okay, and I've got 1, 2, 3 pockets. Top stitch the other one. This actually is quicker than it looks because once this is done, all that's left is to make the zipper pocket for the center. And then we can put the whole wallet together. I wasn't planning on staying all here all day to do that, or even another hour. How do you guys feel about that? You want me to hang around and continue working on this? Or do we can go either way? So no, oh, Teresa's not coming on till 6 though, is she? Okay, Mary. Yeah, in Kansas, your body doesn't understand that you're not having rain. It doesn't understand that you're not getting ready to have a tornado either. That's where I discovered the arthritis for the first time, was when I lived in Oklahoma City. All right. So that's the top. And here's why I need my arrows, because I need it to remind me which side is the top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew down the sides of this at as close to 1/8 of an inch as I can get. And I stopped there because I was lifting up the edge of one of my pockets. And I switched over to blue thread so that it won't show. Okay, Marie. No problem. I'm just sewing them down. When I'm doing this, I'm just making sure that everything lines up where I want it and does what I want. The only difficult part about this really is putting in, it's the leather, the vinyl part. Okay. And all I'm doing is lining them up, making sure that they go the direction that I want. Oh, that's going to look really pretty when that gets in there. What I'm doing is just kind of like dry fitting everything. I'm going to take the two bottoms of the card slots and I'm going to put them together. And I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. What's not what you thought it was? Ms. Wendy. Thank you, Tracy. All right. That piece down there is bugging me. It's an iconic look, though, isn't it, Tracy? As soon as you saw this wallet, you went, I know what that is. I'm always surprised when people tell me they haven't made one before. Because I thought everybody had made this. And like the Ethel handbag from Swoon, the Brooklyn Traveler, also from Swoon. Those all make me think, but, didn't you make this already? Maybe it's because I'm old. And I think everybody's done all the same stuff that I have. So it was like me doing NCW wallet tutorial. Why? But maybe there's something I do different from somebody else that will help. I don't know. Yeah, I've made the mini too. I made the minis for little girls. A couple of my nieces when they were little. And tell you how long ago that was. They put up senior prom pictures from one of those nieces last night. She looked amazing. I'm like, are you the same little girl that used to run around with a runny nose and a muddy face? It's amazing how fast they grow up, though, right? Okay. You don't carry either one? Wow. I need to give my shoulder a break for just a minute. It's not liking me. I do like how this comes together, though. Are you looking for free patterns to free motion, Courtney, or are you looking for free patterns to make as far as quilt patterns and that kind of stuff? May as well answer or ask a question while I'm at it, right? That's cute, Kelly. Their fancy dresses and their soccer boots. I don't know where Brianna was at, but it looked like something from a fairy tale. They posed them in an upstairs hallway with a wood floor with one of those curved balcony railings that goes around. It was gorgeous. And of course, perfect with her blue, I don't know if it was a princess dress, like modeled after Frozen or what, but she was amazingly beautiful in it. And she is an amazingly beautiful girl, but I was just absolutely stunned. I mean, at how amazing she looked. I'm a long way from what her life started out as. I'm top stitching around. I'm trying to stay just as absolutely close to that edge as I can. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm just gonna like go cry now. Y'all want to watch a grown woman cry? My thread broke and I put holes in my wallet and it didn't stitch. So now I'm gonna go cry in a corner. Not really. I'm going to restitch it, but dang it. I hate when that happens. He is stitching again now. Yeah, they do grow so fast. Yep. A binder dedicated to your paper patterns is awesome. But at least it only broke for a few stitches. I'll still cry. That generationsquilting.com place that I put up a couple of days ago has a ton of free patterns too. That's where I got the pineapple that I've been using. Slowing down just a lot. And I'm rolling my little fabric edge underneath as I top stitch. I have a jeans needle in my machine, Wendy. You don't necessarily have to, but a heavier duty needle works better for vinyl, in my opinion. Some people say that they don't need it. I think I do. And then where I'm at right now on this, move the camera back down again, is my magnetic snap is right there. So I'm pushing it by it. Remember, I put a little piece of Dactyl and a little piece of SF101 in there earlier. I ironed them in, but I'm also catching both of those in that stitching that I just did there. And that right, what I just did there was did like one stitch at a time because I have two seams meeting and I wanted them to go together. Now, if you have trouble with your feed dogs here or whenever you're working on vinyl, a Teflon foot helps. Or you can put Scotch tape on the bottom of your regular foot. So that it doesn't drag whenever you're sewing. Mine's starting to do a little bit of it. But I usually just, as you can tell, slow down. Go a few stitches at a time before I move it again. And I think Tracy Albert's here. She's like me. She's a fan of Victoria Krieger. It seems legit. And Lauren Mormino. Both of them show you the actual stitching using their industrial machines. Their industrial machines go through this stuff like it's butter. They don't ever balk at anything or complain. My machine gripes constantly, but it will do it. I've done these on a domestic brother also. With a jeans needle, the brother will do them, but you really have to fight to get it through. And whenever I sew vinyl, I try to put the vinyl up rather than down on my feed dogs because I don't want it to get eaten. That's all the tips I know on sewing vinyl. I don't always sew this seam right here down, but I think I'm going to on this one just because it keeps wanting to roll. So I'm going to put a seam right across there. I'm not going to go all the way across. I'm probably going to go from the inside of the top stitch line across, and we'll see what my Juki thinks about doing this. Anita, they sell it on Amazon for the Juki, and I have one. I just wanted to use my jeans needle, and I don't like using my jeans needle with the Teflon foot. This is it. It's like, it looks like plastic, but the texture is more like corian, if you've ever seen countertops made out of that. It's a pretty tough little foot. I have a whole bag full of various feet. I have another 1/4-inch foot for my Juki. I have a right side compensating, a left side compensating, and I think I have a zipper foot in there, which I never use because the foot on my Juki is skinny enough to put a zipper in. So I don't ever use the zipper foot, but I definitely have used the Teflon foot before, many times. Okay. Let's audition all this again, see what it's looking like so far. Not bad. Not bad at all. This is the same way that I did my wallet that I'm using in my purse. Yeah, Tori and that industrial machine are not legal. They should not be legal. She does things with that machine that I didn't know it could do, really and truly. And Lauren does have a walking foot on hers, which is wow. Okay. So that's in. She's already got that in there. And then I need to figure out how wide I need to trim you to. I want Tori's skull that she puts all her clips in. That's what I want. Lauren's definitely, she's got a D5700, I think, that she uses to make her bags on. So it is 7.5. I'm going to do 7.5 by 7.5 because I can catch that in there. Yeah, so I'm not, I don't feel too bad about mine. I'm going to line my little card slots up. We are going to do some trimming, and I'm going to trim just outside of my seam line. Yeah, I give myself lots of grace because, I don't expect to be a professional bag maker like either Lauren or Tori. But I do like for mine to look nice when I get them all done. DU 1181, yes. That is what she's got. And yes, I want a Scully too. So that's 8.5-ish. I want to put down to, probably would help if I had this even, right? Yeah, but Scully's like $40, right? Oh, I have a couple of different sets of feet, so I get it. I definitely get it. And I can never remember if the Juki is a low shank or a high shank, but I think it's the opposite of what my brothers are. So I think I have one set of low and one set of high. I just thought I was going to cut that, didn't you? I'm going to sew it first. So I don't want anything to come undone. Friction pin, it'll come off whenever I iron it. And what I'm doing right now is I'm making this the same width as the center of my wallet, so that when I put it in there, it will all get caught. I don't need it to be an extra 1.5 inches. That's not going to catch and it's going to look tacky. Yeah, definitely different ages of machines. I have some older ones from the 60s, some older singers. And even the threading on those is different. I had forgotten about that when I got the last singer that I got. That is thick. And when I went to thread it, I had to really think hard back to home ec in high school to be able to get it threaded, because I was like, I don't remember this being this tough. Well, the reason I don't remember it being that tough is because it was second nature when I was in high school. It's not anymore. Okay. And so what I'm doing now is I am catching the card pockets in the side. I'm just folding the side over here. And I'm going to sew the card pockets in. We are getting down to the wire on this. And I'm going to do the same over here. Cut a little bit more of that edge off. I try to leave as much as possible so it has something to cut on, but it gets thick by the time you fold the edge over and catch it. Sorry, I'm concentrating instead of talking. My bad. Oh, yeah. Yes, Wendy, I need a new blade. I'm waiting on them to come in. I actually ordered Martelli blades, and they are on slow. Okay, and then I'm adjusting my pressure up and giving myself a longer stitch length for this. And I'm trying to do a little less than 1/8 of an inch. That's not, and I need oil plump. That is, oh my God, how much do you expect me to go through right now from the machine? You have a great day too, Anita. Already 5:30 in the afternoon here. She was here at 3:30 though when I was up, and she was having lunch. Trying to see if it'll give me any more room. Maybe not. Amen. And I have rivets, Tracy. I will be using them. I know you're in Aussie land. I'm gonna have to go visit Dee just so I can get some darn cornbread. All right, and see that that's caught in there? All my little thingies are. Not bad so far. I don't backstitch on vinyl because it's an opportunity for it to rip. At least I don't backstitch when I'm putting this in. Yeah, I'm ready for some cornbread and salmon and all that too. I'm hungry. But I seldom, if ever, backstitch on vinyl. I do need to trim some threads though. And actually this one was really hard, Wendy, because it wouldn't let me start up here where I wanted to start. I'm covered in threads as always. I don't think it ever changes. I like the white against the blue on the back there. Hey Tracy, how are you this afternoon? Thank you. It's a turquoise. I don't know if that comes through real well because it was looking really dark blue. It's the same color as the wallet that I made for myself. I'm working off of a whole bolt of it that I bought. Salmon, cornbread. What is it?
Rock shrimp.
Ah, awesome. Wasn't cornbread. I was hoping. Now I've got to do one more thing, and my shoulder is screaming at me. I need to make the pockets to go in the center. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to say goodbye for this afternoon, and I am going to cut the pieces out for the center pocket. I will come back on a live probably tomorrow after Kathy's done and finish it up. So I won't do it where you guys can't see, but I need to cut it out, and my shoulder is screaming at me. So I need to stop for a bit. But we're all but there. I mean, the pockets are in. The zipper pockets will go in tomorrow. And then I'll put the other side of the magnet in and show you guys how to do that. And it'll all be finished. And then when I do put up the video as a live premiere, edited without all the crud from me, then I will do a raffle with this and somebody can get it. I'm going to do a double pocket, I think, Tracy. It depends on if I've got number 3 zippers, because when I was looking at Jess, she said that number 3s are less bulky inside the wallet. I think I'm going to see if I've got some number 3 zipper in there. If I do, then I'll do a double. If I don't have a number 3, I have some really pretty rainbow number 5. I'm looking at the chat, sorry. See, I've got my phone over here. But I've got some pretty rainbow number 5 zipper. So if that's all I have, then I'll make 1 pocket. But 2 pockets is easy. Thanks, Tracy. Oh, no problem. And you are, no, I wasn't leaving because you're here. I've been on for like 2 hours. And my shoulder is starting to scream. You have a great night, Marie. And I want to see Teresa. And I probably need to go do some heat therapy on my shoulder before she comes on. So I will see you guys tomorrow after Kathy gets done with her live. And I will see y'all at Kathy's live too, because I will be there or I'll be square. All right. Bye, guys. And thank you for watching me today.